to Unaccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and more. I am your south of the border slacker, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the stay-at-home slouch, Jeremy Van Grohl, who wrote these intros, sir. Well done today.
Thank you. Rumor has it you were south of the border. I think it was last week, right? How did that go?
I celebrated my 10-year wedding anniversary a few weeks early in Mexico. By the time this episode drops, it's pretty much our 10 years. So a woman has put up with me for that long. Who'da thunk? Low points of the trip. I brought home food poisoning. Yep, Montezuma came back, and she brought home COVID. So, it was brilliant. It was wonderful.
It's the vacation that never ends. Well, I'm glad you're feeling
That's a running joke.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you're feeling better, and bless that woman's heart of gold to make it 10 years. Wow.
Yeah. Jeremy, some fun stuff in the news this week. You were kicking this off with, we have the ERC again?
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw this, but the IRS came out with another notice that I think they're putting out about 30,000 letters that they're sending out to claimants for the employee retention credit that's worth about $1 billion. Also giving them the opportunity to fix them and pay back anything that they shouldn't have claimed, and have a 15% discount that they don't have. They can only pay back 85% of it and won't have any penalties or interest. So kind of interesting that still trying. Some of it is I can't imagine hey, we're going to avoid the work, right? But then if they refile or correct this, it's more work, but then they keep more of the money. There's a lot going on here yet.
Interesting. But are they also reopening the voluntary disclosure program? Because they got a fair bit of money last time, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I think this, from what I understand in the article, is that yes, they're sending out these letters saying that, hey, you can review things if you have any expected risk or think that it may not be valid. Please send 85% of the money back. You can keep the 15% that you have already, and then we'll call things square. Probably, I would hope they at least look over their second or their updated filings, the 941XX, probably. XXX, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say, that makes it sound like a much more exciting form than it is.
I want to be part of that IRS unit.
No, this is brilliant. So are they also opening this up to the general public as well, or just these 30,000 recipients? Or am I overstepping my bounds and asking you questions on a podcast where we don't have a budget for research?
Yeah, you definitely are doing the latter there. I'm not sure, honestly, but I think, this didn't go into that detail. I would feel like that's still, it says reopening a voluntary disclosure program until the November 22nd, 2024. So I feel like it's pretty broad, but that they are targeting these 30,000 businesses just to know hey, here's this opportunity, take it, or potentially else. But it also said it's going to start claiming or start processing again the potentially valid claims that some of the businesses had out there.
No, we have one client who legitimately is waiting on their funds, and the firm, let's call them a firm, that helped them with their ERC claim, because we're not going to use the M word. The firm that helped them with that, they keep checking in with my client because they're hey, the IRS said they're going to distribute, 30, 50,000 cases on the 1 million outstanding. It's a small drop in the bucket, but they're starting to make headway again. So we'll see what happens. All our tax dollars going out.
That's right.
Well, the one article that I actually thought was quite fantastic on Accounting Today is called Baby Season versus Busy Season. And first of all, this is very anecdotally written, but it's still very amusing talking about accountants who are starting to try and do family planning around tax season. Very few things in life are as predictable as the 9 to 10 months that are coming up for people wanting kids, as well as when taxes are going to be due. This article is quite fantastic, going through example of a husband and wife duo who both work in Big Four, trying to plan around having a family with tax season. And, they also cite references from Logan Graff, who he's a decent follow. From Logan Graff. He's a great follow on LinkedIn. Wow, we're going to get canceled quick. Basically referencing some of these accountants out here who we're overworked and overstressed, and we're having to plan our personal lives around taxes and not the other way around.
Yeah, which is clearly ridiculous, but obviously a real thing, right? The stigma in Big Four historically is you're in your chair getting those billable hours, or you're not doing your job. So yeah, I get that. The other part of me as a business owner now with many employees is, when we are blessed to have an employee that has been blessed with a child, I look at the calendar right away, and I'm not a tax firm, but I'm looking at January. Like, are they going to be gone in January when we're doing 1099s and doing a lot of annual book closes and all that? So I'm a little guilty of that, but I've never held it against anyone, and I feel like anyone that would is just like ridiculously not having the pulse of the people.
Well, Jeremy, we got like 3 weeks in a row here of guests, and I am super stoked we get to welcome someone much smarter than you and I to the show today. Really regale us with some cool stuff going on in the industry, make us appear more credible just by association. Mr. Jaime Rodriguez, founder and owner of Ledger and the new president CEO. You'll have to correct me on the title. But Jaime Rodriguez, the new captain of the ship of bookkeepers.com. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me. Like I said, I'm a little nervous to be here.
Yeah. I mean, really, both of our listeners aren't that scary. Like, you don't have much to worry about.
Yeah.
No, it's not the listeners I'm worried about. It's you two.
You know us too well. Oof.
Jaime, for those of our listeners that aren't familiar with you, I mean, we're going to spend some time at halftime getting into Bookkeeper launch and everything out there. But a little intro about you or anything we should know about everyone's favorite Texan.
What to know about me? Gosh, yeah, you kind of wrapped it up all and gave me all the good stuff, right? So everything else that you need to know about me is not as impressive. So yeah, I've started my bookkeeping career in 2013. Gosh, that seems like a lifetime ago now. Yeah, fresh out of college, and try to do this by working just as a bookkeeper under one company. And then I found myself doing a lot of HR stuff that I did not sign up for. To the point where I was like, what am I doing here? And then someone planted a seed and said, hey, you should start a bookkeeping business. Next thing you know, I'm Googling how to start a bookkeeping business without knowing bookkeeping because I wanted to kind of like relearn it. And I bought Bookkeeper Launch. And here we are 7 years later, because that happened in 2017.
Still incredible story, and I think a lot of us have similarities. We'll dive into that even more after we run you through the gauntlet that is Fast Figures.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
All right, let's put 1 minute on the clock. Jaime Rodriguez, here you go. The AI CPA just submitted a letter to the Department of Homeland Security to include accounting into its department's STEM degree program, science, technology, engineering, and math. This letter was supported by how many state CPA associations?
True.
Starting off strong. How many NBA championships have the Dallas Mavericks won?
Just one.
For the most part, how many years will CPAs have to put in at college?
At least 6.
Within 25 years, what year did Kool-Aid introduce the iconic Kool-Aid Man?
That's got to be old. I'm going to say 1958.
Lawyers get to keep what percentage of the interest earned in their IOLTA account?
0%.
How many habits are there of highly effective people, according to Mr. Covey?
Is it 12?
The IRS released a new preview of a new 4-digit informational form going into effect this year to report income for digital assets. What is the number of that stereotypical number of this 4-digit informational form?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. Pass.
How many tickets to paradise did Eddie Money have in 1977?
Eddie who?
Money Man.
In an upcoming update to its platforms, QuickBooks will begin taking what percentage of tax liability for payroll on the pay date instead of taking it on the due date?
Oh gosh, no idea. I'm going to say 1%.
How many students were there between the famous philosophers Socrates and Aristotle?
1?
Jaime, I love that you came to play with us.
Those were brutal. It doesn't help that you guys got a genius. That voice at the beginning,
Yeah.
Very, very recognizable voice. I'm like, who? That's a genius right there. I can tell that is Mr. Ben Stein himself.
Oh yeah, we had him on last week. It was really meta bringing him back to introduce himself into his own game.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Well done, sir. Well done.
That was rough, man.
Well, let's run through the answers and see how you did. First off, the AI CPA just submitted a letter to the Department of Homeland Security to include accounting into the department's STEM degree program. This letter was supported by how many state CPA societies? You said true. The correct answer was 50. And I thought this was interesting that they're making a play to get accounting included into STEM degrees. Like, this would be fantastic for our profession. I love those memes you see of people posting in April that those trigonometry classes really came in handy during Pythagorean season, right? Like, no, we needed to learn taxes. We need to learn all of this. Like, do we think this might be a step in saving the profession?
I think it's a step in the right direction for sure. That's awesome.
Which one of the STEM acronym letters does it fall under? Science? Math?
Oh no, we add it in there as his own. Like, it fits in there right after the E before the M. It would be STEAM now, right? Like,
there you go.
We get our own letter. That's where I would put it. I mean, or we can really like get aggressive, try and get ourselves at the beginning.
How else is this movement going to gain steam if we don't make some changes?
Nice.
Jeremy just sold it. Question 2. How many NBA championships have the Dallas Maverick won? You said 1? Well done, sir. You said that almost sadly, but as a Utah Jazz fan, I say you should quit your complaining. Do tell, Jaime, is this just more a hobby or is this a love affair that it seems to be?
It's a love-hate relationship. It's an abusive relationship.
Wasn't Mark Cuban thinking of selling the team?
Yeah. He sold his majority stock in it. He's a minority owner now. Man, He cashed out because he bought it something around like $2 billion, and he sold his majority stakehold for I want to say upwards of like $8 billion, which is crazy. I mean,
that's a pretty good ROI. Yeah.
I love that.
Next question. For the most part, how many years do CPAs have to put in at a college? You were so close with 6, but it's actually 5 years. You got to do 150 hours. Your average bachelor is 120, so add an extra year for that extra 30. But I bring this up because you are now running Bookkeeper Launch, bookkeepers.com, a degree where when people want to switch paths and do something different in life, getting a CPA license isn't really feasible for most people. But now there's programs like this out there where people can learn the basics to get started in another industry. You know, I'd love to hear kind of what you're seeing from users in the community that's being built here for people that are looking to switch mid-career.
Yeah, not only is it not feasible for a lot of people, I think a lot of CPAs tend to get so far away from the bookkeeping, which is the foundation of it. So like you almost go through that bookkeeping because I have an accounting degree myself. I'm not a CPA. And we do that like first year in college. Like we take those foundational classes where they teach you bookkeeping. And then after that, you never see it again. Like, sure, you know your debits and credits, but you're never actually building journal entries. And God forbid, we never even actually touch software, anything like what a small business owner looks at, which is what the majority of America is. So there's so much need for bookkeepers. And I don't think they will ever fulfill that need, right? The more businesses are being open, the more mom and pop shops are being open, the more there is a need for a good bookkeeper. And having something like Bookkeeper Launch and other courses that, you know, there's also a bunch of EA courses that come around that I've tried to take and failed because I hate taxes. But it's just awesome that there's just so much opportunity now to kind of go a different route than your typical college. You know, growing up as a millennial, everything that was ingrained in me. You're going to school, you're going to college, right? And now I'm like, I could have totally not gone to college.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, between experience and what you can learn on some of these online programs, I know I got more out of what's on my resume than I did either my undergrad or my master's. Humble brag.
And you're 100% right, too, on the theory and the accounting classes, right? Like you learn the 100 and then you get into like corporate valuation and foreign exchange conversions. And it's like, what if I work for just like a smaller organization? None of this is going to be useful. So yeah, I think that's spot on.
And you two are bookkeepers also. I'm sure that there's situations where you work with a CPA with some of your clients and you almost have to explain to the CPA some of the bookkeeping aspects of it because they're like, haven't done that in like 2 decades. I don't know what that is.
Or they've never done it in a software. They're just used to the tax returns and their tax software. They're like, I don't know how to go make that change. Please make it for me, send it back. When it's like, you could have done this in 2 minutes.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this before too. When you get that first year grad as an auditor coming in and you got to like teach them accounting, like in the real world, that is frustrating. Oh,
well, I want to tie this into the next question, which was within 25 years, what year did Kool-Aid introduce the iconic Kool-Aid Man? The correct answer was 1974. You said 1958, which puts you well within that 25-year window. Well done, sir. And I bring this up because you were someone that went from bookkeeper launch skeptic to participant to team member to leader. And now you mix the Kool-Aid. Like, tell me, what has that journey been like? What has that done for you getting into that sort of community? Like, I want to almost continue that last question into your personal journey.
Yeah, what a transition there. I love the transition from like, you're mixing the Kool-Aid now.
I saw this question in there and I'm like, how is he tying this in?
Like, where is this going?
Better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, I Googled how to start a bookkeeping business, and I wanted to kind of start from scratch. And there's a bunch of different routes that I could have gone. There's the free route. Everybody knows you can go on YouTube, and there's a bunch of ways you could essentially teach yourself, right? Yep. You don't need a course. There are a bunch of ways that you can teach yourself anything essentially on YouTube. Then I realized myself, I need a little bit of skin in the game. Sometimes if I don't have that, I'm not going to be as committed. So then that was the first step. And I decided, okay, I want to pay for something, right? Something that's going to make me actually feel accountable. And after doing some research, I did some videos that, Ben had presented, Ben, the founder of bookkeepers.com. And man, the guy got me hooked. And I said, okay, I need more of this. Is really good stuff. And it was just very foundational. Like, this is what you need. Like, these are the tools you're going to need for bookkeeping. And after that, I purchased the course. And I was fairly young, I think, at that time. I was 27. I did something that people don't want to do at the age of 27. I moved back in with my parents and said, I'm going to start my business. I'm going to quit my job and just kind of go all in on this and trust this program. And it's paid dividends. I mean, it's been awesome being able to start the course, finish it, and then kind of just, I guess taking off from there and doing my own business. After doing that for a while, they actually were looking for for somebody that had gone through the course to help with the support team. And I said, hey, I have the time to do it right now. I was just kind of in the growth stages. So I started there. And the next thing you know, there's new positions available. And I'm like slowly, it's funny how it works. I felt like I was too busy with my own business. But then once like that opportunity opened up, you kind of find time, or either that, or you figure out how to get your business together and do things right, like you were told to from the get-go. Right? So anyways, I started the business and, I started kind of cleaning things up, my processes and stuff. And I was able to find time to kind of dedicate more so to bookkeepers.com. And yeah, well, here I find myself now. I don't know if I would have guessed this 7 years ago when I bought something that I Googled,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I absolutely love that comment because I'm actually gone through this several times where you said you didn't think you had the bandwidth to take this on. And I mean, necessity is the mother of invention. You figure it out. So many people I hear, I wish I had the free time so that I could do X. And it's like, no, you almost have to insert X and then you will figure out how to get the rest done. Because if you constantly wait for the space to be available, it will never come. There will always be something else that fills it up. So I love that you brought that up. Jumping into the next question, because this keeps tying into this journey. Lawyers get to keep what percentage of interest earned in their IOLTA account? You quickly and correctly answered 0. And for those that don't know, maybe stepping on Jeremy's toes a little bit, which will become apparent later, but IOLTA accounts, lawyers, this is a big deal for them. And maybe, Jaime, I'll let you speak more to this, but what has being a specialist in the legal industry allow you to do to talk about this account, scare lawyers into buying from you? Like, what has it done for you niching and becoming an expert, even knowing what an IOLTA account is, which I don't even know what that acronym stands for. So
interest on lawyers' trust accounts. Yeah, pretty easy. But yeah, so I think, it's funny you said, what have I done to like scare lawyers? I didn't do that at first. I did not go that route. Like many bookkeepers, when we're starting our business, we kind of say, hey, like we speak bookkeeping language that people don't care about as business owners. Then I started going that route because you have two ways of basically marketing. The way that I look at it, you could either paint a pretty picture of like this beautiful success story that comes in at the end, pot at the end of, I was going to say the pot at the end of the tunnel, the pot at the end of the rainbow, or the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, I'm mixing two different sayings there. I do that. But yeah, so gosh, where was I before I totally botched it? Yeah, so you either do that or you scare them, right? Essentially is the other way to market. Say, hey, if you don't do this is what's going to happen. And I started going that route and it's been more successful. Honestly, Tyler, even just mentioning the word IOLTA is usually enough credibility where someone like an attorney is like, oh, he knows our language. It really doesn't take a lot of trying. Mentioning that alone, which I think is important. Like it's just having that same vocabulary, that niches that you're working with.
Oh, I'm sure it's same for Jeremy and restricted funds, and for me with cost per occupied room. Like you drop the right word and they're just like, oh, okay, you're one of us. You get it.
One of us.
One of us. Gobble, gobble, one of us. We accept that one of us. Gobble, gobble, one of us. We accept that one of us.
Yeah.
Next question, and this one now is really funny to me. How many habits are there to highly effective people, according to Mr. Covey? Now, you answered 12. The correct answer is 7, and I bring this up because I Facebook stalked you, and you said this was one of your favorite books back in 2019. So I wanted to ask the question, since then, what books have influenced you, since clearly this one has dropped off the rotation?
It has dropped off. Man, so actually recently, and if you don't mind, I'm going to look at this book I've been reading recently. It's been really good. I'm so bad with titles here, but I've actually recently started looking more at like things as a CEO, which is probably something I should have done as a business owner of my own bookkeeping business. But hey, you know what? We're here now, right? So the CEO only does 3 things is what I'm currently reading.
Okay.
I love that. People Buy You is the other one that I really, really loved. And that one's a lot more on the marketing aspect of it. And I think that's something that I struggled with was like how to sell myself. I try to sell my company versus trying to sell myself. But that was one that I think was really impactful. But currently, the CEO does 3 things is what I'm currently reading. And it's been good so far.
Rumor has it you are recently a published author yourself. Care to talk about that?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. That's awesome. Yeah. It was a project of mine I started working on last year, summer 2023, completed it somewhere around April, I believe. And then I launched early June or something like that, maybe even earlier than that. But it kind of goes hand in hand with that book, that People Buy You. And that's also the book that inspired me on like just kind of bringing, although that book is all about marketing, I kind of use that and say, okay, so People Buy You on the marketing side, like how do I also bring that in the customer service aspect of it and continue to be authentic to my clients post the proposal being signed or the engagement letter being signed. And so that's kind of what the book is about, is how to just be very personal with your relationships with your clients. And, it's a book for bookkeepers essentially, but I think it's something that is honestly anybody in the service industry could use because I love me some good service.
I 100% agree. I love that. A few more questions for you. The IRS released a new preview of the 4-digit informational form going to effect this year to report income on digital assets. That 4-digit form is the 1099. That is where 1099 DA, digital assets. Really just bringing that up for our listener. Jaime, you don't even have to comment on it, but our listener, that form preview is out there now. If you want to know what's coming down the pike, go take a look. It's honestly not that different than every other 1099 we get. So old news, but they're making a big deal out of it. Keep moving on. How many tickets to paradise did Eddie Money have in 1977? Ian, please hit us with a clip of that, because he's got 2 tickets to paradise. Jeremy, what's the next lyric?
Oh, pack your bags and leave tonight. Yeah. The Money Man.
Jaime, coming up next, we just sometimes like to throw in an audio reference so we can keep Ian on his toes. Next question. In an upcoming update to its platform, QuickBooks will begin taking what percentage of tax liability for payroll on the pay date itself? You said 1%. It is 100%. And what is significant here is I don't hate this, but Intuit is always looking for ways to make more money. Now, what's interesting is I used to actually tell customers, like, I hate that QuickBooks doesn't take the taxes on the date they process payroll because my clients were awful at keeping enough money to pay the taxes when they came due at the end of the quarter. I actually like that more about ADP and Gusto. And I actually have it from an ADP rep personally that's where ADP makes most of their money, is sitting on your funds until the date they have to remit them to the state and making interest. Intuit, this whole time, has never been making money on that. But at the same time as they're increasing our prices, increasing fees on transactions, they're just barely now tapping into this sitting on your money and earning interest. It'll go into effect on all accounts. Anyone else looking for a reason to hate the Death Star? Here you go. Jeremy and Jaime, does this affect you? Do you care? Do you think it's about time? What do you think?
I think so. I didn't know that they weren't doing that. I've never used QuickBooks Payroll. Every single feedback I've heard about QuickBooks Payroll has been bad. And so I've never used it. And it surprises me that they haven't done that. And I feel like that's that low hanging fruit. If they wanted to raise prices, they should have done this first. That would have been nice, easy money. Not only that, but bookkeepers prefer that. Like you said, I think most bookkeepers prefer that money coming out right away rather than waiting at the end of the quarter and your clients potentially not have that cash.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I didn't realize they weren't doing this either for the same reason. We do have a few that have legacy QuickBooks Payroll that I have not touched because I've told people I will not deal with it because their support is god awful. So yeah, I'm surprised. How do you not, like you said, know this right away? Like, every other major payroll system is doing this and making just a crap ton of interest on it. Yeah. If you are on the board or a leader in that organization, how do you not be like, why don't we flip this switch? Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, and for a while now, I see in the Facebook groups, the communities, like, hey, what payroll processor should I use? And when I give my rank, it's not like I like Gusto. OnPay's great. ADP works. Paychecks is okay, And then if you're not going to do that, you can always do it on an Excel spreadsheet. And if you don't want to do that, you could do it on a stone and chisel tablet. And if you really don't like that, then you can use QuickBooks Payroll. Like, that's always been my advice. I don't know if that's going to change after this, but I'm actually not upset that they're doing this. But you're right, Jaime. I wish they would have done it sooner rather than increasing all our fees.
Yeah. This next segment is brought to you by QuickBooks Payroll.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting that sponsor anytime soon.
Yeah, Jeremy, when I'm sitting here wondering why I can't get an invite to Intuit Connect, cue this clip.
Yeah.
Last question. How many students were between the famous philosophers Socrates and Aristotle? You correctly said one, which was Plato. For those of you that are trying to remember your Greek philosophers, the acronym is SPA. Socrates taught Plato, taught Aristotle. That's one of those dumb things that stuck with me since 5th grade. But I bring this up, Jaime, because you became the student of Ben Robinson that is now the teacher of the next generation. And I would love to hear what that experience has been like, continuing on the legacy of a man that we all know put a lot of heart and soul into his philosophy, what he built. And what's it like taking the legacy and the torch of someone and trying to carry that on?
Yeah. So, it's a little scary, right? That's the first thing, is that somebody created this amazing program and this where you could literally, instead of having a college education, can come in here and create a career for yourself, create a business. And how many lives have been touched by it, including myself, my own life, right? Huge shoes to fill. So the first thought is scary, right? Second thought is it's also really kind of refreshing because as an employee there before, or I'm an employee now, but being like in the support team, you kind of get to see what the students' needs are more so than Ben did, right? And just like any business owner, you get kind of far removed from it because, well, that's part of being a business owner. You have bigger fish to fry, right?
You only do three things.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's interesting, like getting into this position now, I'm like, all right, well, these are the things that we need to change. These are things that this is how we can provide better support. And what is maybe like extra that fluff that people don't care about, but we're, spending resources on, that kind of thing. So that's a neat perspective that I have, that coming in and seeing it from the ground up, essentially. And it was in very infant stages when I joined in 2017. I think the company started, the first course was like in 2015. So I'm a veteran in it for sure. And just kind of seeing the way it's changed and seeing things being added, removed, and what has worked, what hasn't, definitely gives me a leg up. So I'm really excited where we are now and where we're going for sure.
And Jaime, with that sound, it is now halftime, the part in the show where we all head over to the sidelines and take a nice little bite out of an app. And today, we're going to be talking about bookkeepers.com. Surprise, surprise, everyone. If you were tuning in for an M. Night Shyamalan twist, you went to the wrong place. Jaime, though, dare I say, Jeremy and I are very familiar, but for those listeners that have been, suffering through this podcast so far, if they're not familiar with bookkeepers.com, essentially a go from know nothing to building your own firm with plenty of hard work, late nights, and a lot of thinking. Like, talk to me about this program and give us the pitch. Like, what should those aspiring to maybe are in the accounting industry right now but don't have their own biz, what should they know about bookkeepers.com and Bookkeeper Launch?
So joining Bookkeeper Launch from the start, I think coming in with some kind of accounting degree or accounting knowledge helps to an extent, but sometimes, like I said, I came in with some experience, and I purposely wanted to relearn it. I wanted to go into something where they teach you debits and credits right from the start, where as if I'd know nothing. So does it give you a leg up? Kind of, but it also kind of hurts you sometimes. So I think it's funny because some of the more successful students, and I'll measure success based on just the size of the business, have been those that actually have come in with no bookkeeping experience whatsoever. And so that's been awesome, like seeing their lives change through it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I apologize for kind of jumping in on you here. But I think, too, like I had an accounting background as well. But unless you are like the CFO of a organization, usually you have a tunnel vision, right? Like you're looking at one specific thing, right? So like I was in, rebate management or credit management or whatever it was, and had that one view, not the holistic view of the organization. And what the course did is really taught you like, hey, you need to know like not 300-400 level accounting on any of the things, but you need to know here's the basics of revenue and here's the basics of expenses and accounting entries and all that. So I think that was the piece, even me coming in as a 20-year accountant, that I was like, wow, there's a lot of little things that I didn't realize that I need to know that we need to do this, even though I felt like I was a really strong accountant at the time.
Yeah. You and I both. I came in, I'm like thinking, I'm just gonna zoom through the course, and that really wasn't the case. And man, I think what really sold me on it was the support of the course that comes with it. I mean, it's lifetime. Like, who does that these days? And, kind of going back to like selling yourself and just having an incredible service. I think that bookkeepers.com has always been really good about delivering an exceptional service when it comes to support. When you're starting a business, or if you're starting just a new like career, maybe you're not even starting a business, just starting a new career as a bookkeeper, there's so many unknowns, and sometimes you just need somebody to kind of look over your work and say, yep, thumbs up, you got it. You did it right. And I think that is what we offer through unlimited email support. And then not to mention we have calls every week on Wednesdays and Thursdays. On Thursdays, heck, we have 2 calls, one with me and then one with somebody on our SST team that will do the course calls. And we have those where there's no dumb question, right? You can come in and say, I really don't understand debits and credits. And then the next question that comes in is, I'm having a problem with a client's cleanup, and here's the situation, right? Like it could be a very foundational question and something very difficult. And I think that's one of the coolest things that we offer, is that we are there every step of the way, whether you have 0 clients or you have 100 clients. If you email us and you need a little bit of help, somebody to look over your work, or somebody to tell you whether you're doing something right or wrong, or I don't know, sometimes you just need a little advice. Maybe you need a little pep talk. We can do that too. So I think that's what really sold me on it. Just having that support and having somebody that can look at my work and say, yeah, you're doing it right. You got it. You nailed it.
Or the other way. What are you doing here?
That's what Unaccountable offers. If you really want us to berate your work, we'll do it for you. Send in your best. We got you.
Yeah.
And Jaime, just for those listeners who aren't familiar, Give us some prices. Like, help us understand what people are getting here if they sign up for a bookkeeper launch.
Yeah, so for Bookkeeper Launch, it's $24.99, and in some cases we do offer sales pretty often. We just ended a sale where we're selling it for $900 off of that, which is one of the more common sales that we have. So we will have, I know that we will have something like that in the future. If I can kind of product place right now, if you guys allow me to, we are also starting to sell just the skills version of Bookkeeper Launch as well. So let's say you want to learn bookkeeping, or maybe you know a little bookkeeping, but just kind of want to have somebody teach you again, kind of just have something to go back to. That will come with support as well. You can get that for a lot less. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say this is right under $1,000. I want to say it's $900 for that. And we are about to launch a 6-month payment plan of that to make it a little bit more digestible. Like me, when I started, I was, like I said, I moved it back in with my parents. The last thing I needed to do was pay for a course that was expensive. So what I did is I did a monthly payment plan, and that helped with the cash flow, right? Hey, we're talking bookkeepers. You guys know about cash flow. Kind of separating out into 6 months will make it a little bit easier. And like I said, it comes with support. You can join our calls. You still have all the support that you need. The only difference is between that and Bookkeeper Launch is that you're not getting the marketing aspect of it. So if you're starting a business, obviously you not only need the skill of bookkeeping, you need the skill of marketing and everything else.
The skill of selling, of pricing, having the mental fortitude to get those first 2 clients, because gosh, those are the hardest 2.
The hardest ones. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the pricing too, because I got the program in late 2016, and I think it was the day after I purchased it. I saw, because now I'm in the funnel, right, of the marketing funnel. I got an ad that like, oh, today or starting today, it's $500 off or whatever. And I'm like, oh, come on. So I actually emailed support right away, and I'm like, hey, just saw your ad. Would you be willing to provide that discount for me, even though I bought it 2 days ago? And it was like, yep, it's done, and it's back there right now. And that was, to me, like, there have been so many programs that would be like, no, the thing wasn't going on then, right? You missed out. Tough nuts, right? But yeah, they're like right away gave the discount, and I'm like, wow, what a great group, right? And so like,
we should charge you for that back.
With interest.
That shouldn't have happened, Jeremy. But I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna go look back on your account. One other thing I want to bring up. So you guys announced something kind of cool here just recently this week too, on building a little bit of a directory. Can you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So for all Bookkeeper Launch students, you now have access to a directory. So one of the needs that, it's kind of going back to like me being just somebody on the student success team, is that I noticed that there's a lot of people there's people like you guys have businesses that are successful, and you have employees. Yeah. And and then we also have bookkeepers that just finished the course and are like, hey, I would love to work under someone like a Tyler, someone like a Jeremy, maybe not Tyler,
but like a Tyler.
Yeah, maybe like a Tyler. Then again, hold on. Maybe not like a Tyler, Jeremy. Bad examples.
No, your directory will even filter us out. They can see, this is perfect. Keep going.
Yeah. And so our goal is to really match you with somebody. So like if you wanted to work under somebody, if you have a need for an employee or a contractor, we are able to kind of help you make that pairing between a contractor or an employer and the employee.
You're the Match.com for bookkeepers.
Ooh, yeah. There you go.
Right. Yeah, what I like about this too is one of the rock stars on our team was a graduate, right, and just found me and bought the program and realized like, no, I hate the sales, I hate the marketing, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So like, this is a great new offering out there that we all change paths. You go down this path and it's not right, but I love all the things, or I love to just do operations or whatever it is, right? That you can go to this and get paired out with somebody, not Tyler or I, but somebody better, where you could find a good fit for you and a good future for them, and hopefully just like divert to the right path for you.
Yeah. And what I love about it is that it's a free feature now. It's part of the being a Bookkeeper Launch student. You're not paying extra to be on the directory by any means. You're a Bookkeeper Launch student. You get part of it. You get to join it already. And, that's kind of something, I think, a legacy that Ben has left is to always continue to give. And that's something that I want to continue to do, right? To always continue to bring back and give value to all of our students. through that also, I mean, you guys know, and for, the listeners, we offer other things, right? Like we have Keepful, if I'm, where we can build your website. So we want to essentially make this a one-stop shop where you come to bookkeepers.com, and not only do we teach you bookkeeping, but hey, we can also help you with your website, your marketing funnels. And I'm a user of it as well. I use it for my own bookkeeping business. And I'll tell you what, what's funny is I had a client or a prospect reach out to me, and I'm like, who is this guy? He booked like a consult with me. And I look back and I see, oh, I have him in my newsletter from like 8 months ago, which is something I wasn't doing before Keepful, right? Like he was just getting a newsletter, and then he finally said, all right, dude, shut up. I'm going to book a consultation with you.
Take my money.
Shut up and take my money. I love it.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks. I think we've talked Jaime into sticking around for one more fun event. Next game that I came up with, and a couple episodes ago, talked about the specifics around accounting in the Hollywood or movie production industry. And since we have somebody here specializing in legal and attorney bookkeeping, I thought we could do a little Legal Ledger Throwdown Expert Edition to just talk through some of the specifics on legal accounting. Now, just to take off a little bit of the pressure, there are nonprofit questions where I have gotten this wrong. There are hospitality questions that Tyler have gotten wrong. So you may bet 1,000, you may bet 700, whatever, and that's cool. But just 6 questions on certain things that are pretty specific to the law and their books. Let's just kick it off. So
Let's do it.
The first one, number 1, and I want you guys to work as a team. Tyler, just listen to Jaime.
Oh, this is a team event. I like
team event. All right. So first one, in which type of case do lawyers often work on a contingency fee basis, meaning they only get paid if they win? All of them are multiple choice, unless you want to just put it out there. Like, no, give me the multiple choice.
Give me multiple choice.
Give me the multiple choice.
A, corporate law. B, family law. C, personal injury. Or D, criminal defense. Tyler,
do you know this?
I do, but that's because I cheated because I was looking at the questions to do the sound effects.
I'm going to go with personal injury.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this contingency fee arrangement, lawyers, what I've read is typically 30 or 40% of the settlement of the court award. So incentivizes to win, but also there's a risk if you lose. So 2 follow-up questions with this. Is there any other expense side of things that they look at ahead, or are you like making any adjustments for revenue in an arrangement like this?
No. So normally, it's pretty straightforward, at least with personal injury.
Yeah. And just a side question on this. If you have any benchmarking data, how much of a percentage of a law firm's budget is in advertising and billboards if you're doing personal injury?
I actually don't know for personal injury. I don't have enough personal injury clients. What I do have is for immigration law, which is really, I think it's very high. It's about 40% for marketing. Wow. It's very, very high. And I don't think that's the case for personal injury. I think the margins in immigration law are a little thinner. They need a lot of volume. And personal injury, it's like another animal. It's they don't require a lot of volume. One big case can be enough to feed them for a whole year.
I'm just super curious on this because like personal injury, like the matching principle in GAAP says we should match the revenue with the expenses. We'll do for all the expenses until we find out if we won or lost, or do we try and progress bill on sections? But then like if we don't have any income, do we write it all to bad debt? And like how do you handle that, or does it not matter?
Are you talking about for like client costs, like something like a cost that the attorney incurred on behalf of the client?
Yeah.
So that's typically billed right away, or it gets added on to a retainer if they take a retainer. But typically they can bill for that, and it will not roll into the earnings of the actual settlement.
Interesting. All right, let's move on to question 2. What is the term for the fee structure where a law firm charges a fixed amount for a specific legal service rather than billing by the hour? A, fixed fee. B, subscription fee. C, retainer fee. Or D, alternative fee arrangement?
This seems like a great question.
I haven't looked at the answer for this one, but I know that in school, when I knew what 3 of the words meant, 3 of the answers were, and the 4th one just sounded over my head, I always picked the 4th. That would be the last one, Jeremy.
I
Going with
would
D.
say that again.
So are you going with D then? Alternative fee arrangement.
This sounds like it should either be retainer or fixed fee, and I would almost use those like interchangeably in some cases. There are differences, but I would say retainer, but I'm going to go with Tyler. I like Tyler's strategy, and if Tyler's going down, I'm going down with him.
D is correct. Nice work. And
I
again,
am a bad boat to tie yourself to.
There you go.
and you know, this is Jeremy's level of research on this, so the questions aren't always perfect either, but I think I'm pretty good with this one. And I think the key is in this one that says the firm charges a fixed amount for a specific legal service, whereas I feel like the retainer, if I understand that correctly, is like you are providing funds for the law firm for support, and that may be for a certain period of time or a certain thing or whatever, but or just like continued service.
Yeah.
I think that was the key on that one. Cool. All right, let's get to number 3. In law firm accounting, when can a firm recognize revenue for work in progress on a client's case? A, when the client signs the engagement letter. B, when the work is billed to the client. C, when the work is performed for the client. Or D, when the payment is received.
So
This is almost what I was asking Jaime after question 1.
Yeah. So what's funny is it should be when it's billed, but the more correct answer is C.
See, that's what I was going to guess, when the work is done.
But technically, they shouldn't be billed until, I guess it could be.
So
I
what
think
do we go
we'll
on?
say C.
Billed or performed?
It's definitely performed.
No, I've got billed. B is correct.
Oh, wow.
So, but it says, like the background I have on it, like revenue recognition law can be tricky. Even though the work may be performed and tracked as WIP, it's typically only recognized as revenue once it is billed to the client. This method follows the accrual accounting principle, ensuring that income is matched with the period it's earned. Is it though? Like if you do it, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this one is, I feel like you guys were right on the fence on this one.
Jeremy, this is
like
why you
we
need
were
to stop using Wikipedia for your research.
Man, I only got so much time to get ready for these. All right, halfway there. All right, number 4. In a law firm with multiple partners, what method might be used to allocate profits among partners, taking into account individual performance and contribution? A, equal distribution. B, merit-based distribution. C, lockstep system. Or D, hybrid system.
I'm going to rule out A.
Yeah, I'm leaning a hybrid or the other system you mentioned,
The
lock.
pop and lock system.
Yeah, the pop and lock system.
Let's go with that.
Pop and lock system. Let's do that one.
Go ahead, lockstep system. No, the hybrid system. Background on this one. Many firms use a hybrid system that combines the elements of the lockstep system, where seniority dictates profit share, and the merit-based distribution, which rewards individuals' performance. This allows the firm to balance the fairness of incentivizing high performers and also longevity, but making it complex to account for.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't care about how much work it is for us.
That's right. Okay. What type of account must law firms use to hold client funds separately from the firm's own money? A, joint savings account. B, trust account. C, restricted account. D, beneficiary account.
Told you I was going to steal your thunder.
You did. All right, gentlemen, what's the answer?
Trust account.
Trust account. Correct. And we talked about that one, so I won't even get into more of the details. The last one then. Question 6. What is the success fee and how does it differ from a traditional contingency fee? What is a success fee? A fixed fee for successful cases, no difference from a contingency fee. B, an additional fee on top of hourly billing if the case is won. C, a percentage of the settlement paid regardless of the outcome. Or D, a bonus fee for winning a high-profile case calculated as a flat amount.
I'm going to just go back to like what Tyler said and just kind of use my test intuition. Like,
Yeah.
what would I do if this was a test?
Yeah.
And I think I'd go with B on this one.
I'm going to defer to him because I've never experienced success, and so I've never get this fee. So let's go with what Jaime says.
But if it was a failure fee, you would be right.
I got
on
this.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is correct. B is the right answer. So a success fee is a distinct from a contingency fee that it supplements traditional hourly billing or fixed fees. If the case is successful, the client pays an additional fee, which is often a pre-agreed percentage of the settlement or a flat bonus. So this model aligns the firm's incentives with the client's outcomes, ensuring base costs are covered. So that was good. Yeah,
60%, right in our wheelhouse.
Yeah. All right, nice work, guys.
Hey, that's pretty good for. Actually, that's really good for baseball, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm hitting it out of the park.
Yeah.
The thing also is, as I talk about these questions, and a lot of them are really in the weeds, and most of us in this room, not named Tyler, have like leveled up enough that we're not in the weeds as much anymore, right? So like these even get hard sometimes when they're the basics. It'd be like, oh, I used to know this, but dang, I haven't done real bookkeeping in a while.
Either that or like Tyler said a second ago, like, the clients make things sometimes a little difficult and you're like, oh, they're making it very difficult for me. And they have the most creative ways to like give to like their employees, or like when they're coming up with like a structure to give to the partners, they're going to come up with some wild way that they're like, this is what's fair. And you look at it and you're like, what? You're like, I guess I'll figure this out.
Like they have to pull horoscopes for the month to help like figure out what everyone's compensation is. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then that's where Google's our friend. And yeah.
And the Bards and the Geminis and the GPTs and all that jazz.
You name it.
Yeah.
Well, Jaime, we are so lucky to have you here. Before we kick you out the door and make your day so much better because you're done with us, any last things you feel like the listeners should know about Mr. Rodriguez, Paraledger, bookkeepers.com, or the Dallas Mavericks?
Not so much about the Dallas Mavericks. There's not a lot to say there. We're going to have an up year, I think. I think we should be pretty darn good next year. But, when it comes to my business, I'm open. I'm an open book. If you have any questions, if you guys can reach out to me, I am available on Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere. I am an open book. If you have questions about like how I started my business, questions about Bookkeeper Launch, Keep Full, the DBA, whatever it is, I am an open book and I'm happy to share my experiences. I can tell you what we are really good at and I can tell you what we're not so good at, right? And because at the end of the day, I want every student that joins us to be happy with where they are and make sure that if it is what you want, right? And having a career change, and a lot of times it is when you're joining Bookkeeper Launch, is a big, big step. And just knowing that, there's somebody there to kind of, that's got your back. It's nice to know that and know that I'll be there. And even if you're not a student, like I said, I'm an open book. So reach out to me.
Jaime, thank you so much for your time. And we'll get you on the show next year. Let you improve that score.
Absolutely. I'll do some research. Thank y'all so much for having me. You guys are a ton of fun. I don't know how you guys find the time with your businesses and to do this also, but I also like your podcast is awesome, guys. I love what you guys are doing. You keep it fun. You make a subject that is not very sexy. You make it fun. So you guys are doing awesome. I love it.
I like that he didn't say a subject that's not very sexy. You make it sexy. He's like, no, you guys don't bring that into it.
You guys don't make it sexy, but you guys make it fun.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time, bro.
Thank you, guys.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
And with that noise, it has come to that time for winner of the week. And this one was fantastic that I found. And I don't know if you checked this out, Tyler, but found a Reddit page here sent to us from our friend Judah that somebody asked if you had a bar that specialized in CPA or CPA themed bar, what would you name it? And some of these answers were excellent.
Please do share because my IT team blocks Reddit. I can't see it at all.
Oh, no. All right. So a couple of the good ones that I found is one of them is Slush Fund, where you would specialize in frozen drinks.
I love it.
One of the next was the Ale House, but ale is A = L + E.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Assets = liabilities and equity. Oh, that one is brilliant. I loved it. Liquid assets. Feel like that was a really good one. Yep. First in, last out. Was what you want. That's what you want as a bar, right? Your patrons there all day. And the last one I'll share here, call the bar client dinner, and then so you can expense everything, and then all of the drinks are named after average meals. So I have a BLT and I have a hamburger with whatever, right? So you get that detailed receipt and it says you were at a client dinner, and it says all of the things out there are meal charges. Brilliant.
This is man. I'm gonna open up one next to a Big Four accounting firm just so I can. Yeah, everyone after they leave PwC for the day is gonna come right over. I love this idea.
That's perfect.
And for our loser of the week,
some unfortunate inhabitants of New Zealand. My marketing manager found this, but a nonprofit was unknowingly trying to do a good thing and give out candy in the community, but it turned out that these were small, very concentrated doses of methamphetamine. You can't make this up, people. Somebody, I don't know if it was an intentional donation or whatever, but somebody took very concentrated, 2-ounce little drops of methamphetamine or drops of candy that wrapped them up in a normal candy wrapper that you would expect for a hard candy and donated them to the nonprofit. So the nonprofit gave them out to the community. And they said they were so concentrated they had up to 300 doses of methamphetamine in each of these little cough drop sized drops.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh. Hi, kids.
Wow.
Here you go. Thankfully, they tasted so bad, which you would expect that most people just spit them out right away, minimum impact. I think there was a handful of people that needed treatment on it. But wow, just going about your day. Look at this great nonprofit. Yay, candy. Suddenly, I'm stoned. Crazy.
I don't think I would have known because I'm from Utah. We don't know about drugs. So I would have just been like, oh, this tastes bad. Guess I'll finish it, and would have been tripping.
Right?
Well, Jeremy, I'm excited because I want to introduce one last segment that hopefully will live on. But we're starting backhanded 5-star reviews. Yes, we had a few listeners respond to a call for reviews that might be a little bit backhanded. This week, our backhanded review comes from AKRKLND, and they say, I wish I had the courage to embarrass myself like this. 5 stars. If you're looking for a podcast that makes you appreciate the silence of a sunset, Unaccountable is your go-to. Tyler and Jeremy's voices are as entertaining as a twangy country song. Just be prepared for a lot of eye rolling and the occasional urge to throw your 10-gallon hat at the wall. It's the kind of show that makes you wonder if tumbleweeds have more to say.
Oh, I am going to love
5 stars.
Oh, I'm going to love this. Is my new favorite thing that we do is reading these. If you have the opportunity, please add to this list because we will get them all on here. This is fantastic.
Yes, if you want your backhanded 5-star review to be read on a show, head on over to Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Leave us your backhanded 5-star review. We will gladly read it on air. Jeremy, beyond that, that's our show this week. Dare I say, we're getting okay at this. Like, people might soon give us a passing grade.
Yeah, pretty soon we'll get some forehand reviews.
Forehand? Oh, because yeah, sorry. Womp, womp. Jeremy, until next time, stay beautiful, my friend.
You as well.